Hey guys, so it's been a little while since my last book review, but I was sent this copy of Victoria. It is a novel of a young queen, and this actually is an early reader's edition. It's not available until November 22nd. Thankfully, I was able to check it out a little bit early. It is a historical fiction book, so if you like that genre, then you'll probably like this book. I found it really fascinating. It was just a really, I feel like, insightful way to kind of see the behind the scenes or into the young mind of a queen and kind of what she went through. It really made me, kind of took me back to that feeling that every woman goes through when you're kind of in an awkward transition from young girl to woman or a person finding yourself in more responsibility. And so, of course, we all go through that transition ourselves, but can you imagine being an 18-year-old girl going to bed one night and waking up the next morning finding out that you are the Queen of England? Now, she was raised that was a possibility, but it kind of seemed like it was a little bit further down the line. It was a possibility, but not quite a given that she was going to become queen. And so while she was sort of expecting it, it was still a surprise. And I also feel like whenever you find yourself in that much responsibility, what it comes with is always a bit of a surprise. So this book was actually Daisy Goodwin, the author, went through the Queen Victoria's diaries, and so it was based on that, and so that's why I found it to be really fascinating. It was a different reading style, not set up quite like a novel would be, at least not in the early reader's edition. So it wasn't a smooth read, I would say, from beginning to end, set up as a novel would be. But yet it wasn't quite broken up like a daily diary. It was kind of a merge or a mix of the two. So it really did feel like you were having a little bit of a story version of a diary read. And so it was really an interesting way to find out so much more about, you know, what a young queen would be going through. Some of the history in it. With a historical fiction, I find that you're always kind of left wondering which part is historical fact and which part is the fiction. Same with this one, but I find that they were merged pretty well, and it was just a really, like I said, fun, fascinating story version to read through Queen Victoria's diaries. Kind of with all books, I find that I always tend to place myself not necessarily in the role of the main character, but by reading through kind of that, obviously you're seeing the behind the scenes or the thought process or the feelings of that main character. And so I always tend to look at people after I read a book like this just with more sympathy for whatever position they're in or whatever they're going through. Obviously, as a queen, there are times that you make decisions, or every move, every decision, every word you say is being judged. And a lot of times people feel like that in real life as well. But without reading and knowing kind of what's happening in their thought process to get to that point, or maybe what strength it took to make that decision, or how hard it was to stand there and say this thing. Without kind of reading or feeling that from behind the scenes, you don't have the sympathy to see what that person went through to get to where they are. And so that's what I found with this book. It kind of opened me up to see that again and to be sympathetic to the people around me, the reason people make decisions, just the reason things happen in different people's life. And so for this young girl, an 18-year-old girl that woke up to realize she was queen, she had a very big learning curve and process. And so we get to see a little bit of that in this book. And so I just thought it was a fun read, kind of an interesting way to see a little bit of history, and just reminding me to be sympathetic to the people around me, and maybe why we'd never know quite fully why they're making the decisions they're making or saying the things they're saying. It just kind of opens up my mind to see that. So I'd love to know if you like historical fiction, if you like these types of books, and what's your favorite reading style? Is there a genre that you really love or prefer, or where do you really like to read? I have this reading nook that I created in my room. It's a rocking chair, which also helps because a lot of times I'll be rocking my baby, and that's a perfect time for me to read when she's fallen asleep in my arms. I get a few minutes to sit and be still. But tell me, what's your favorite way to cuddle up and read a book? If you liked this review, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We have so much more content coming your way, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. See you later. Mwah.